Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling, well, a really timeless question, actually. It's about personal growth, ancient wisdom, and where they intersect.
Hmm.
We're going to explore this idea. When you're facing a life problem, a real sticky one, why might someone choose philosophy? Specifically, Stoicism instead of, say, therapy or coaching.
Right.
Our source for this is a really fascinating discussion. It's called Stoicism versus Therapy Stoa Conversations by Michael Tremblay and Caleb Ontos. And yeah, that Stoa name is a deliberate nod to the philosophy itself.
Exactly. And it's important right off the bat to say that while all three, Stoicism, therapy, coaching, they all aim to help with personal stuff, emotional difficulties,
Sure.
they just come at it very differently. Different tools, different goals, even different underlying ideas about what it means to flourish. So our job today is basically to unpack those differences.
Okay.
So you, the listener, can get a feel for which one might, click with what you need.
All right, let's dive straight in then. Let's try and lay out the clear distinctions. Where do we start? Maybe with therapy. What's its core approach, especially like Western talk therapy?
Okay, yeah. So therapy, particularly the Western talk therapy model discussed in the source, is really framed as non-prescriptive. That's key.
Non-prescriptive, meaning,
Meaning it doesn't tell you how to live. Its focus is often on the past and the present. It's kind of like an investigation helping you uncover why you feel or act a certain way.
okay, like digging into the roots.
Precisely. It guides you to find what's already inside you. The idea is that real change comes from that internal understanding, not just someone telling you what to do.
Right.
Think of it like asking, why are you angry? And tracing that feeling back. The goal is easing distress through that kind of deep understanding.
Okay, that makes sense. Looking back to understand the present. So if therapy is like looking in the rearview mirror, how does coaching shift that perspective? Is it more forward-looking?
Totally.
Yeah.
Coaching is almost the opposite in that sense. It's very much present and future focused,
Mhm.
and it's all about action.
Action-driven.
Yeah. It's also non-prescriptive, like therapy in that way.
Mm.
A coach isn't there to judge your goal. They're there to help you get there. They
Ah,
help you figure out how to get from point A, where you are now, to point B, where you want to be.
yeah.
It's strategic, practical, helping you use the strengths you already have to reach that goal.
Okay, so therapy for understanding why, coaching for achieving what. Where does Stoicism fit? This feels like where it gets really distinct.
It really does.
Yeah.
Because Stoicism, unlike the other two, absolutely is prescriptive.
Prescriptive. Okay.
It lays out a specific view of what a good life entails and, crucially, how to live it. It's not just focused on the past, present, or future in the same way. It's about living well, period.
Yeah.
Now and always.
Living well overall.
Exactly. The ultimate goal isn't just feeling better or reaching a specific target. It's the transformation of the person
Transformation into what?
into someone resilient, rational, and importantly, virtuous. And for Stoics, virtuous meant living with wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control, aligning yourself with reason and what's actually in your control.
Right, that control aspect is huge in Stoicism.
It is. And critically, it functions as both like a treatment and a prevention,
Prevention, how so?
like building a kind of philosophical immune system. It aims to build your inner strength before crises hit, making you more robust.
A philosophical immune system, I like that. It sounds less like homework and more like, well, a kind of proactive health practice for the mind.
That's a great way to put it. And what's really fascinating is the Stoics themselves saw it that way,
Yeah.
explicitly. Ancient guys like Epictetus, Chrysippus, they use this metaphor of being a doctor of the soul.
Doctor of the soul, wow.
Yeah. They viewed things like intense anger, fear, grief, what they call passions, not just as feelings, but as actual illnesses of the mind, things that needed treatment.
And isn't there that punchy Epictetus quote about the lecture room?
Oh yeah, the classic one. The philosopher's lecture room is a hospital. You ought not to walk out in pleasure, but in pain.
Oof, it's hard.
It does. Because it frames philosophy not as some comfy intellectual chat, but as a real, sometimes difficult healing process. That discomfort is part of the growth. Modern thinkers like Martha Nussbaum pick up on this too, calling these ancient schools therapies of desire. They recognize the practical goal, reshaping how we want and react.
Okay, so the source material, the Stoa Conversations, really digs into Michael Tremblay's arguments comparing these. What are his main points?
Well, Tremblay's first big argument is pretty fundamental. Stoicism, therapy, and coaching are aiming at different things, fundamentally different goals.
Right, we sort of touched on that.
Exactly. Therapy aims for, let's say, non-judgmental awareness, understanding the past.
Mhm.
Coaching, it's about hitting those goals you set. But Stoicism, it's aiming for that deep internal transformation. Virtue, reason. It's not necessarily about making you feel comfortable in the moment.
Right. It might even make you uncomfortable, like that hospital quote suggests.
It might. It's about challenging you, reshaping your character, not just soothing you.
So, given these different aims, where does Tremblay see Stoicism really shining? What's it best for?
His second point is that Stoicism excels at preventative and transformative work. It's incredibly powerful for building your character before the storm hits.
That immune system idea again.
Exactly. It's best suited, he argues, for someone who actually has the time and the mental space to reflect, to philosophize. It builds that robustness, helps you stay grounded when things get tough.
That makes a lot of sense. Build the foundations while the weather's calm. But does this strength-focused approach have limitations? Any weaknesses?
And that leads right into Tremblay's other key point, which is crucial. He argues that Stoicism can be weak for acute crisis or severe trauma.
Ah, okay. So maybe not the first thing to reach for if someone's really in the thick of it.
Probably not as the first response. If someone's dealing with, say, fresh trauma, PTSD, overwhelming grief, therapy often provides more compassionate, immediate tools for dealing with what Tremblay terms temporary madness.
Temporary madness. Interesting phrase.
Yeah. Stoicism's focus on rational control, that kind of tough love aspect, might come across as cold or just unhelpful when someone is in extreme emotional distress. It might feel too abstract, too demanding in that moment.
Okay, so different tools for different situations. That makes sense. To make this less abstract, the source uses a really vivid example, right? Epictetus and the distressed father.
Oh, it's a fantastic example. It's from Epictetus's Discourses. There's this man who's so overwhelmed by fear watching his daughter die that he literally runs away.
Wow. Intense.
Very. And Epictetus engages with him. First, he does something quite therapeutic. He helps the man understand his feelings, why he fled. He doesn't just condemn him.
So there's an element of understanding, like therapy.
Yes, but then he pivots. He challenges the man's underlying beliefs, his expectation that his child should live forever. Epictetus argues that loving a mortal being means accepting the possibility, the inevitability of loss.
Ah, so he shifts from understanding the feeling to challenging the thought behind it.
Exactly. He's acting as both therapist and philosopher coach. He provides insight, but also moral direction, prescribing a different way to think and, ultimately, to be. It shows how Stoicism blends that psychological depth with a clear ethical framework, which isn't always the aim of therapy.
That really captures that dual nature. And you mentioned the Stoics calling emotions diseases of the mind or diseases of the soul. That metaphor seems really central.
Absolutely central. Diseases of the soul. That's how they saw intense, irrational emotions, passions like overwhelming fear, anger, desire, not just fleeting moods, but deep-seated problems that cloud judgment.
And the cure.
The cure for them was clear. Virtue, reason, self-mastery, cultivating those rational faculties to overcome the irrational. This metaphor really locks in that idea of the Stoic philosopher as a kind of physician for the psyche, diagnosing the illness, prescribing the cure.
Now, the Stoa Conversations hosts, Tremblay and Ontos, also touched on something else interesting, sort of cultural or gender observations about who gravitates where.
Yeah, they floated an observation, sort of reflecting on cultural tendencies.
Yeah.
They noted that perhaps women might lean more towards therapy, maybe because there are more established cultural permissions for emotional expression and seeking that kind of support.
Okay. And men?
Conversely, they suggested men might sometimes gravitate more towards Stoicism, perhaps valuing the self-sufficiency, the focus on internal control, the fortitude it emphasizes, sometimes maybe even as a way to avoid perceived vulnerability.
That's interesting. It definitely makes you think.
It does.
And it naturally leads to a question for you, listening at home. Should more women perhaps explore philosophies, frameworks? And on the flip side, could more men benefit from embracing the tools therapy offers? Food for thought. Okay, so we've journeyed through therapy, coaching, and Stoicism. Pulling it all together, what's the big takeaway for someone thinking about their own growth, their own well-being?
I think the main takeaway is that philosophy, and especially Stoicism here, isn't just some dusty academic subject. It's a really practical, robust framework for living. It offers resilience, it offers structure, it offers a path to meaning.
Right.
And those key distinctions are worth holding on to. Maybe use therapy for healing, dealing with past wounds, navigating those really acute crises.
Okay.
Use coaching for achieving when you have a clear goal and need help getting there.
Makes sense.
And use Stoicism to work on that fundamental transformation into a more resilient, rational, virtuous person, seeking that deeper tranquility.
So it really paints a picture not of competing options, but maybe a toolkit, different tools for different jobs or different times in your life.
Exactly. They're not necessarily mutually exclusive. You might find value in different approaches at different stages.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to mull over. How could incorporating even just a little bit of this ancient Stoic wisdom, maybe just one principle, into your daily life, how might that help you prepare for challenges down the road? Maybe build that resilience before you even know you need it.